Everybody's been asking me this week. I sent my sermon notes to the ladies up front and to Charlie and to the deaf ministry and everything else. And everybody's wondering about the notes because there's just like not many of them. That doesn't mean a thing. That doesn't mean a thing. Sometimes you can look at notes and go, well, this is only going to take me like 15 minutes. But I'm not going to say how long this is going to take me this morning because when I say something like that, it usually takes a really, really long time. And I know that, well, you guys don't want to be here all afternoon, do you? Yeah, exactly. See? I love authentic people. I love authentic people. And I'll be straight up honest with you. After sitting 3 days in classes this week in Birmingham, Tuesday, Wednesday, from 8:30 in the morning till 6 o'clock each night, I wouldn't want to sit here for any longer than I absolutely have to. So I'm going to preach fast if you'll listen fast. How about that? All right. Turn with me to the book of Exodus. We're going to look at Exodus chapter 4, the first 5 verses there. I'm going to talk today on the subject of what's in your hand. What's in your hand? And if some of you are looking at me wondering what's wrong with my hair, it's sweat. Well, people ask me all the time, well, why don't you change those lights up there? You know, folks, the lights are a big deal. I mean, there's a lot of them, but here's the real deal. This scares me to death. And so this is just mostly nerves. I sweat like a horse, so and I'm about as big as one, so that has a lot to do with it.
You said it.
I did. Hey, I'm transparent. All right, here we go. Exodus 4, verse 1. Moses answered, "What if they do not believe me or listen to me and say, 'The Lord did not appear to you?' Then the Lord said to him, 'What is that in your hand?' 'A staff,' he replied. The Lord said, 'Throw it on the ground.' Moses threw it on the ground, and it became a snake, and he ran from it." Can I get a witness in the house? Yes. It's only been 2 weeks ago in our community here that someone asked me, they said, "You pastor that church up on the hill there, right?" And I went, "Yes, I do." And they said, "Now, you guys are those people that handle snakes, right?" And I just said, "Not up on that hill. We do not handle snakes. We do not handle snakes unless they're dead." Then the Lord said to him, "Reach out your hand and take it by the tail." So Moses ran again. Oh, no, it doesn't say that. I'm sorry. That's Phil. That's Phil. So Moses reached out, took hold of the snake, and it turned back into a staff in his hand. "This," said the Lord, "is so that they may believe that the Lord, the God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, has appeared to you." Now, I want to talk to you just for a few minutes this morning on the subject of what's in your hand. Now, look, we joke a lot about the whole snake thing, but I'm just going to straight up tell you, I don't like snakes. I don't like them. I don't care if it's a garter snake or a black snake, or people call certain snakes good snakes. The only good snake in my mind and in my life are dead ones. All right, now, you may own them and they may wrap around your neck and you may walk through Walmart and that may be the love of your life. I bless you in Jesus' name, but I do it from a distance. From a distance. But here's the thing. We've just finished a 10-part series on I Choose, and I finished up last week talking about the 3 levels of buy-in. What level, and I ask you, what level you are at? Are you at the level 1 that says, I just want to receive and benefit from Generations United? Or is it level 2 where, okay, I'll contribute, but it's just going to be something that's comfortable, like maybe greeting at the door or, putting $1 or $2 in the plate every now and then or something like that? Or are you at level 3 that says, look, I believe in the vision and mission of this place and this family enough that I'm going to give everything that I can to it, everything in my life. And I ask you to begin to move toward level 3. Well, it was during the last couple of weeks that I've been praying about this and thinking about this, that this passage just kind of came back to my mind, and I began to work on this and think about this today. Every one of us have something in our life that we can give. We all have something. Now, there may be individuals in here that you may say, I just can't do the tithe thing the way the Bible asks me to do the tithe thing. Okay. All right, then what can you do financially? All right, what's in your hand? What do you have in your hand? Then give that. I don't have a lot of time. My kids are in ball, and my kids are doing this, and I'm teaching, and I'm working 60, 70, 80 hours a week, so I don't have. What do you have that you can give? Is it 30 minutes here? Is it 30 minutes there? Is it an hour here? Is it an hour there? Then give that. What's in your hand? You know, well, I don't know that I can do anything. Well, everybody can do something. Well, I can't teach a class, Phil. Okay, so you can't teach a class. Well, I can't sing a lick. Okay, so you can't sing. Can you push a vacuum cleaner? Can you hand someone a cup of cool water? Or a cup of coffee? Or a glass of tea or a drink? Or take money when they give a donation for their cafe purchase? Can you stand at the door and do this? Welcome to Generations United. You see, everybody in this room can do something because we've all been given a measure of something. You say, well, we don't have a ministry that just vacuums. We will start it tomorrow. We'll start it tomorrow. Well, I didn't know that we could do something like that. What's in your hand? What can you do? What can you give? What is it in your life that you've identified? Moses said, I've got a staff. That's all I've got. And that's all he needed. He gave God a ton of excuses for why he couldn't be what he was born to be and do. And then finally God just said, well, okay, I get all that, but what about? And God just said, what's in your hand? He said, I got a stick. I got a staff. That's all he had. He was no longer in the palace of Pharaoh. He no longer had the wealth of Egypt at his disposal. He literally had nothing but the clothes on his back and a stick in his hand. And that's all that God asked him. And God said, I will use that stick so that the people around you and the people that I send you to will know that there is a God in Israel and that I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. God will take whatever you have if you're willing to use it and explode it into the atmosphere. God will use that thing. You say, well, how can God bring glory out of vacuuming? Do you want to go to church where there's junk all over the floor? No, you wouldn't live in a house like that, so you're certainly not going to come to a building like that. Can you use a Swiffer? Can you take out trash? You see, what I want to do with this is we narrow our scope when it comes to the work of the kingdom to preaching and teaching and singing. And I want you to understand that the kingdom is much broader than that. The kingdom is about everything. Whatever your hand finds to do, do it for the glory of God. Whatever it is, do it for the glory of God. You can go to the retirement homes and just sit and talk to people. You can go to the nursing facilities and just sit and talk to people. You can sign up to be a part of visitation and talk to the visitation team, and you can do those types of things. You can help with water baptism. There are a multiplicity of things that you can do. Whatever your hand finds to do the glory of God. What's in your hand? We get on over in 2 Kings. There's a widow there in 2 Kings, and the prophet comes to her and says, look, I want you to cook me something to eat. And she said, look, I got a little bit of oil and a little bit of flour, and that's all I've got. And we're just going to eat that, and then we're going to die. And the prophet looked at her and said, I'll tell you what you do. Make me something to eat. Now that sounds awfully self-serving, doesn't it? I mean, my mama always told me, don't take the last piece of chicken off the plate. Am I the only one that was taught that growing up? No. It's hard, isn't it, brother? Don't be a pig. And here's the prophet going, give me the last piece. And then he said, I tell you what you do, little lady. He said, you cook this, then you start pouring. Well, I don't have any vessels, then go borrow vessels. She went to all of her neighbors and she borrowed all these pots and all these gourds and everything else. And she just kept pouring oil and kept pouring oil and kept pouring oil. And then she stopped because there were no more vessels in the town that she lived in the community that she lived in. And the prophet looked at her and said, okay, now here's what you do. You take all of this, you go to the market and you sell it. And now you and your boys will live the rest of your life on the proceeds. Now, what's the deal with that? The only thing she had facing her was one meal and then death. 2 Kings chapter 4. What did he actually say to her? What do you have in your hand? What's in your hand? Well, a little bit of oil. That's it. That's it. Just a little bit of oil. And we're gonna have our last meal, and then all we got to look forward to is death. What's in your hand? What do you have? Well, Phil, I just don't know that I've got anything. Well, here's the deal. In Matthew 25, and this is the real body of this message today, there's what is known as the parable of the talents, or the parable of the bags of gold, depending on what your translation that you're using. Man was going on a journey, and he called his servants, and he entrusted his wealth to them. To one, he gave 5 bags of gold. To another, he gave 3 bags of gold, or 2 bags of gold. And to another, he gave 1. And then he went on his journey. Well, while he was gone, the guy that was entrusted with 5 talents or 5 bags of gold took it and he put it to work. And he made 5 more. And when the master came back, he said, look, you gave me 5. I took the 5. I turned it into 10, and so I'm giving it back to you. And the master looked at him and said, well done. You did a great job. You took a little bit and you turned it into a lot. And so, I'm going to take what you've done, and I'm going to take you who was faithful with little things, and I'm going to give you rulership over a lot of things. The guy that was given 2, the master came to me and said, hey, here's the deal. You gave me 2. I turned it into 4 or 5, and so now I'm giving it back to you. And he said the exact same thing. He said, well done. You were faithful in some small stuff. Now I'm going to expand your authority over bigger things and your responsibility over bigger things. And then the guy that was given the 1, he said, Master, he said, I knew that you were a hard man. I knew that you were difficult. I knew that you ruled with an iron fist, and I knew that you had reaped where you hadn't planted and all this kind of stuff. But he said, so I was afraid of you, so I took the gift that you gave me. I took the gold that you gave me. I took the talents that you'd given me, and I buried it in the sand. And so now I'm just giving you back what you gave to me. And the master looked at him and he said, you wicked servant. You should have at least put it in the bank where I would have drawn some interest. No, but he said, because you didn't, I'm going to take what you had and I'm going to give it to the person that has 10 now. What's the moral of that story? Well, the moral of the story is I want you to see that everyone was giving something. Everyone was giving something. We all have something that we can give. We all have something that we can do. We all have something in our hand. Now, many times we don't know what that thing is because we don't kind of connect everything that we are with the kingdom. We think of it in terms of talents. When we look at someone who can play the keyboard like Charlie can play the keyboard, or sing like these folks on our platform, or play the guitars, and we go, oh, if I could just do that, then I could serve God. Or if I could teach like John and Jane Davis, or if I could pray like some of these people can pray, if I can just do this, or if I can just do that, then I could be valuable to the kingdom. And I'm telling you today that if you only have one thing that you can do, the question is, what's in your hand? Are you using the one thing to advance the kingdom? Now, it's a hard story. It's a hard story because the story is this, that if we don't, and the moral is this, if we don't use what we have, it gets taken away. Now, we may think, okay, I'm multi-talented, I've got a lot of things I can do, so if I lose 1 or 2, it ain't a big deal. But you see, most of us have like 1 or 2 things that we can actually do. Moses had a stick. Now, what if Moses would have said, I am not throwing this stick down. This is my stick. I've had this stick since it was a baby. This is my stick. I don't want to get my stick dirty. I'm not throwing my stick down on the ground. I've got a little bit of OCD. I don't want it on the ground. It doesn't belong there. It doesn't fit there. It can't be used for that. I don't want to do that. So what if he had done that? What would God have done? Would he still have delivered Israel? Absolutely. Absolutely. Just not through Moses. You mean to tell me that not throwing a stick on the ground would have kept Moses from fulfilling his destiny? 100%, absolutely, yes. Totally. What's in your hand? This guy had one. He took the safe route. He took the safe route. I didn't want to get in trouble with you, so I didn't do anything with it. I buried it. And the master just said, at least do minimum standard. Just put it in the bank. Put it in the bank. At least do minimum standard. What's in your hand? There's a passage in 2 Corinthians that I heard it years ago, and I've read it numerous times, but I was actually sitting in class Monday, and this passage came back to me. And it's 2 Corinthians 8:10 through 15. It's talking to the church at Corinth, and he says this, and here's my judgment about what is best for you in this matter. Last year, you were the first not only to give, but also have the desire to do so. Now finish the work, so that your eager willingness to do it may be matched by your completion of it according to your means. What is he saying? What is in your hand, use it. But then notice this verse, and this is on the screens. For if the willingness is there, the gift is acceptable according to what one has, not according to what one does not have. Quit looking at what someone else has. Quit wishing that you had the abilities of someone else. Quit wishing that you had the talent of someone else. Quit wishing that you had that you could give the amount of money that other people may give, and simply look at what's in your hand and let your heart follow suit and go, I am willing. God gave this to me, and I am willing to give it back to him and do something with it. What's in your hand? Moses had a stick in his hand, and he obeyed God with that. What's the real crux of this whole thing? Well, it's simply this. Everything belongs to God. The earth is the Lord's and everything in it. Everything in this earth and everything in this earth was created by him, through him, and for him. Nothing you have is yours. Nothing you ever received is yours. Your retirement account, your bank account, your talents, your gifts, your abilities, your skill set, none of those things are yours. They were given to you by God. Just like the master in the parable of the talents, just like the master gave these people these things, and he said, I want you to take these and I want you to steward them. In other words, I want you to manage them. I want you to use them. And two of them did. One of them, out of fear and anxiety, buried it. The people that made the attempt were fruitful. Why? Because they had knowledge of how to use their gift? No, because they chose to use their gift. What is it inside of you that fuels your passion? What is it inside of you that you know what you can do? What is it that's in your hand? And if it's in your hand, are you using it to advance the kingdom? Are you using it to serve other people? The area of finance is always the difficulty that people have because it's the last thing that typically comes under the lordship of Jesus Christ. Because for some reason we think that God is serious about everything except obedience in our financial matters. But obedience is obedience. You look at your budget and you go, there's no way that I can do 10% right now. Okay, then do what you can. What do you have that you can give? And I challenge you in every area, whether it's time, talent, or treasure, to look at what you have and begin to use it in the kingdom. Begin to use it in the kingdom. This is a fairly big place, big campus. There's plenty to do here. You could come up every Saturday with a garbage bag and pick up trash around the campus. Well, why don't we pay people to do that? Because there's 800 of us here. And all of us have the ability to hold a garbage bag. Well, I pay people to do that around my house. Praise God. We need you to do that. Well, I thought we have a custodial staff. We do, but you know what? If you want to come up here and clean toilets, we'll bless you in Jesus' name. Take out the trash between services. Pick up the bathrooms. We're going to 2 services in August. We're going to need more people. You see, what's in your hand? Think of it in terms of biblical reality. Biblical reality, anything that your hand finds to do, do it for the glory of God. What's in your hand? Amen? Let's stand. Now, Phil, you ought to just get a big sign-up sheet out in the foyer. No. No. I'm going to ask the altar team to go ahead and make your way to the front. They're going to be here when we dismiss here in just a second. But I want you to understand this morning. Everyone has something that you can do. Over the next year or so, we're going to be taking a room every couple of months in our kids' building and just redoing that room, painting and scraping the ceiling and putting new lights up in there and all this kind of stuff, because our children deserve more than what they've been given. Can you paint? Now look, if you can't, just like singing, it's okay to go, I can't paint. I have been banned from painting at our house. I can do a lot of things, but Kim will not let me paint anything in our home ever again. If you want to know how that works, guys, come see me after church and I'll tell you how to get there. But here's the deal. What's in your hand? What's in your hand? Use it. Use it to advance the kingdom. Amen?